session aims to provide an overview of the writing programme as outlined in North Lanarkshire's second level active literacy pack. In order for pupils to produce meaningful writing, they should be writing for real purposes and audiences. This places a responsibility with the teacher from the forward planning stage. By second level, the expectation would be that pupils will gain experience of writing in these 7 main genres. It is vital that, as well as experiencing high-quality teaching of these genres within the taught lesson, pupils are given many opportunities to practice the genre across other areas of learning. In any one forward planning block, teachers should plan to teach no more than 3 genres. The genres to be taught should be dictated by the interdisciplinary contexts which lend themselves more naturally to certain types of writing. For example, within a Second World War context, you would be looking at information reports and discursive writing. Teachers should always plan to teach narrative writing within the same planning block, as there will often be reasons to write in this way. The taught writing lesson is a whole class lesson. All pupils should take part in all 4 stages and should be grouped in mixed ability trios. The teacher will support learners with additional support needs during the writing process and provide them with the resources, for example word mats, to help them more independent writers. Preparation for writing should be carried out prior to the writing day. Pupils should know in advance what they're going to be writing about. They will have been involved in a prior learning discussion relating to the context or topic about which they will be writing. At this time, pupils should have all the resources they need to hand, for example, any notes, photographs, graphics, research information, etc., which will support them during the writing time. They should also be given opportunities to discuss the context with their peers and the teacher to clarify their understanding relating to the purpose and the genre. If necessary, the teacher will revisit the success criteria linking to the genre in which they write. Success criteria for each genre are available on Glow in the Active Literacy section. Pupils should also refer back to comments made on previous pieces of writing to focus on their next steps for improvement. In Stage 2, the teacher will identify which section of the writing should be modelled based on the needs of the pupils. The teacher starts off Stage 2 by sharing the learning intention, reminding pupils of the purpose of this type of writing and the audience for whom it is intended. The teacher will model the planned writing session, referring to the genre and using the success criteria. Having written this section, the teacher will read it aloud, stopping and using Think Aloud to exemplify how and why the writing could be improved. The teacher will then make the changes and reread the same section, referring to the success criteria and verbalising their comments. The teacher will demonstrate how to improve what has been composed in line with the success criteria. This section should be handwritten by the teacher. When the identified section has been completed, the pupils will then independently write, emulating the strategies which the teacher has modelled. The pupils must be seated in mixed ability trios throughout the writing time. The teacher now has a very active role, moving around the class, reading and giving purposeful oral feedback, linking to the pupils demonstrating Think Aloud strategies. The teacher can also highlight positive sections of the text and give oral comments which the children should write themselves in their jotters. Writing at this stage should be chunked. After completing the first chunk, children read their own writing and make further improvements. At any time during Stage 2, the pupils can consult a partner from within their writing trio. Stage 3, Conferencing and Improving. The aim of conferencing is to improve the original piece of writing through discussion with others. It should always involve the child as first reader and commentator of their own writing, peers from within the trio and the teacher. Conferencing should focus on a section of the text which has previously been modelled by the teacher at the beginning of this lesson. The teacher should model the types of comments that children should make. Conferencing should have a wider focus than just grammar, spelling and punctuation, as the main purpose is to help the writer improve the composing section in line with the genre in which they are writing. It is recommended over a period of 2 weeks that the class teacher should rotate the marking of writing, so each child has a teacher comment at least once a fortnight. On each alternate week, peer comments are written in the jotters. The children should write a comment every time about one thing they've done well and one next step for improvement. Teachers will track the comments made in previous pieces of writing to see they have been addressed. Pupils should be taught how to track comments made previously by the teacher before embarking on a new piece of writing. Stage 4. Redrafting, publishing and celebrating success. Redrafting is the process through which children will make improvements to their first draft of writing on a weekly basis. The focus will be on improving how the writing has been composed in a specific section. They should also improve technical qualities such as spelling, punctuation, grammar and handwriting. Schools will make a decision as to how many pieces of writing per term will be formally redrafted and published. These should be identified in the writing jotter as pieces which have gone through the formal redrafting and publishing stage. Publishing should be carried out at a separate time from the redrafting process. This stage must involve the pupil, peers and the teacher in an active and collaborative process in order for the writing to be an improved copy rather than just a typed up version. It does mean that every error has not been addressed, but there will be evidence that children are addressing their next steps and their targets. If possible, schools should display published pieces of writing from each of these 4 stages. Extended writing. Pupils working at second level should be able to produce quality sustained writing. Pupils should be capable of writing within a broad context and over a few sessions. They should produce detailed chapter writing, with each chapter building on previous chapters. It should be ongoing and the pupils should be motivated to write independently and willingly. Writing across learning. We all write for a variety of purposes, and it is important if pupils are to become confident in gaining and applying these language skills across the curriculum that they can understand and select the appropriate genre. Pupils should experience a range of genre in their reading. By this stage, pupils should have sufficient knowledge of each of the genre to decide which is appropriate. Pupils at P6-7 should demonstrate increasing independence and ability to write in all genres. When the teacher aims to teach the features of the genre and models an aspect of this during the taught writing time, other opportunities should be made for pupils to practice the genre through more interdisciplinary contexts. For example, electricity and forces would look at explanation and instruction or procedural writing. The 7 different genre models, starting off here with discursive. The purpose of discursive writing is to present argument and information from different viewpoints. It presents an argument in a more balanced way than persuasive writing. The writer should present an argument for and support this with evidence, but this should equally be balanced with an argument against, again supported by evidence. Features of discursive writing can be found on page 40 of the second level writing booklet. Explanation. Explanation texts are factual genres used across all curriculum areas to explain the sequence, cause or theoretical understanding of a phenomenon or event. The purpose of an explanation is to provide logical, time-related information to explain and describe events happening in our world. There are 2 basic types of explanation. These are how. How does a spider spin a web? How does a vacuum cleaner work? And why. Why are the polar ice caps melting? Why do living things need food? Features of explanation writing can be found on page 52 of the second level writing booklet. Information genre. The information genre usually focuses on facts or information about a particular subject. It usually presents information in an objective way. The purpose of an information text is to provide detailed information about the way things are or were. It also helps readers to understand what is being described by organising or categorising information. They tend to have either a chronological or a logical structure. Further information on this genre can be found on page 66 of the second level writing booklet. An instructional or procedural text is a non-fiction text that describes how something is done using a series of sequenced instructions. The purpose of an instructional text is to ensure something is done correctly and a successful outcome is achieved. If there is a process to be undertaken, this is given in the order in which it needs to be undertaken to achieve a successful outcome, usually in a series of sequenced steps. Further information on this type of genre can be found on page 82 of the second level writing booklet. The main purpose of the narrative genre is to entertain the reader. It requires the reader to be creative and sometimes imaginative, but narrative writing can also be about a personal experience. Narrative writing means essentially writing a story, and it might be fiction or non-fiction. The main features of narrative writing is that it spans time and has a plot. Something happens that keeps the readers reading to see what comes next. A narrative often is written in chronological order. Basic elements and features of narrative have characters with personalities. Dialogue is often included and descriptive language used. The common elements are the setting, character, plot, atmosphere, conflict, climax, and resolution. Genre features can be found on page 94 of the second level writing booklet. The primary purpose of persuasive writing is to give an opinion and try to influence the reader's way of thinking with supporting evidence. Persuasive writing is concerned primarily with convincing the reader at any cost. The reader becomes manipulated. Persuasive writing has a definite bias or lack of objectivity. Its function is to change the mind of the reader or to move the reader to action. The attempt to convince the reader overrides all other goals in writing. Further information on this genre can be found on page 106. And finally, recount. The purpose of a recount is to retell events. Recounts differ from procedural writing since they tell us about something that has happened rather than instructing us in the steps we should follow in order to complete a task. They focus on specific people or events, not general topics. They use the first person in a personal recount and the third person in an impersonal recount. Further information can be found on page 120 of the second level writing booklet. Further information can be found on the active literacy section of GLOW, and exemplar lessons can be available on the curriculum support team's blog.